It was just 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes that changed everything. 5 minutes that cracked open the carefully guarded world of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and revealed a truth so raw, so devastating, that it has left even the most seasoned royal watchers breathless. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Because Meghan Markle finally spoke. And what she confirmed isn't just heartbreaking, it's seismic. Let me ask you something. What happens when the very foundation of a royal family is built on a lie? What happens when trust, legacy, lineage, and fatherhood, yes, fatherhood, are all called into question in a single breath? And more importantly, what happens when that confession comes from the very woman who built a fortress of silence around her children? This wasn't a leaked document. It wasn't a shady tabloid rumor. It came from Meghan herself, publicly. And it has sent shockwaves through every palace corridor, courtroom, and continent. But here's the twist. You haven't heard the full story yet. Not even close. Because buried inside that carefully worded confession are years of secrets, patterns of manipulation, and a quiet desperation that no one saw coming. Except maybe Harry did. He always looked just a little too uncertain, didn't he? His smile never quite reached his eyes when he held Archie in front of the cameras for the first time. His voice quivered just a little too much when he spoke of Lilibet's birth. And now it all makes sense. Or does it? Because this story isn't straightforward. It never was. There are layers to this. Strategic silences, subtle signs, private anguish, and yes, cold, calculated decisions that kept the truth buried for far too long. Until now. And right now, right this second, the world is watching in stunned silence. Waiting for answers. Demanding explanations. You're here because you saw that headline. You clicked on it because something inside you said, "This can't be real, can it?" But what if it is? What if everything you believed about Archie and Lilibet was wrong? What if Prince Harry, second son of the late Princess Diana, once the beloved spare to the heir, was never their father? And what if Meghan knew the truth all along? Let's go back for a moment, shall we? Because to understand the depth of this story, we have to rewind the clock. Not just 5 minutes, but 5 years. Back to the beginning. Before Sussex Royal, before Spotify and Netflix, before Oprah, before Montecito. Back when the world was still enchanted by a fairy tale marriage and the promise of a modern royal family reshaping the monarchy. Do you remember that feeling? The breathless excitement when Meghan and Harry announced their engagement? The global spectacle of their wedding? The way people said they would modernize the monarchy with love and inclusivity? It felt real, authentic, revolutionary. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. The warmth turned to frost. The glow dimmed. And the questions began to mount. Why the secrecy around Archie's birth? Why the conflicting reports? Why the bizarre absence of any photos from the hospital? Why the refusal to share details that every royal has traditionally made public? And then came Lilibet, born in the United States, a name borrowed from the late Queen, and yet not one confirmed sighting of her with senior royals. Not even a single official portrait with her grandfather, King Charles. Odd, right? But no one pushed too hard. Because to question the children, especially in today's world, is taboo, dangerous, uncomfortable. And Meghan knew that. She weaponized that discomfort. She wrapped herself and her children in a cloak of untouchability. Until now. Until today. Because something, or someone, pushed her to finally speak. And what she revealed has shattered that cloak beyond repair. Now, the palace is scrambling. Harry has gone silent. Meghan has disappeared from public view. And behind closed doors, a furious, stunned, and heartbroken family is asking the same question you are. Who is the father? And why was this hidden for so long? But we'll get to that. We'll unpack the confession, word by devastating word. We'll revisit the timeline, exposing contradictions that now take on new meaning. We'll follow the money trail, the power plays, and the tragic emotional fallout unfolding behind Montecito's closed gates. And yes, we'll reveal the names, the possibilities, the theories, the undeniable clues. Because make no mistake, this isn't just a salacious rumor or celebrity scandal. This is a crisis of royal legitimacy, a firestorm that could rewrite the story of the House of Windsor forever. It's personal, political, and utterly explosive. But I want you to remember something as we begin this journey. These are children at the center of this chaos. Children who didn't ask for any of this. Children who may grow up surrounded by cameras, speculation, and whispers louder than lullabies. So, we ask the questions not to shame, but to understand. We demand answers not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Because if the royal bloodline has been manipulated, if deception has been used to further a narrative, a brand, a billion-dollar media empire, then the public has a right to know. And if Harry has been betrayed in the most fundamental way a man can be betrayed, by the woman he abandoned everything for, then he deserves the truth, even if it destroys him. But here's the twist. This story isn't just about Meghan and Harry anymore. It's about the institution, the monarchy, the media, the public's complicity in believing what they were told. It's about fame, power, deception, and ultimately identity. Who are Archie and Lilibet? And perhaps more chillingly, who aren't they? In the next chapter, we'll break down the exact moment Meghan broke her silence. What she said, what she didn't say, and what was buried between the lines. Because sometimes, silence is louder than truth. And what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. They say silence is powerful, but when silence finally breaks, especially from someone like Meghan Markle, it can be devastating. 5 minutes ago, that silence shattered. And what came out? Not a carefully edited press release. Not a vague, royal-style non-denial. Not even a polished sit-down interview designed to manipulate headlines. It was a raw, unscripted confession, and it stopped the world cold. You're probably wondering, what exactly did she say? Let's start at the beginning. Or rather, at the end. Because when Meghan's voice echoed across social media and into the halls of Buckingham Palace, it wasn't part of some scheduled event. It wasn't a media rollout. It was something that wasn't supposed to happen at all. A leak. A crack in the dam. A private conversation caught on mic, allegedly during the taping of a new podcast episode that was never meant to be published. And then, someone uploaded it. Unfiltered. Unedited. Uncontrolled. No lawyers. No PR. No spin. A moment of truth. If we're even allowed to call it that. That slipped through the fortress of curated perfection Meghan spent years building. She didn't know the mic was hot. She didn't know the assistant was still recording. She didn't know the internet moves faster than a royal scandal can be buried. And so we heard it. Meghan, tired, frustrated, perhaps even a little bitter, saying words that would make any mother hesitate, but make the world stop. It was always going to come out eventually. I just didn't want it to come from me. Not like this. Silence. A rustling sound. A muffled voice. Asking. About the paternity stuff? Then Meghan again. Whispering. But clear enough to freeze your blood. Yes. About Archie. And Lily. Harry. Harry's not. He's not biologically. Look, I didn't think I'd ever have to explain it. But it's done now. No tears. No rage. Just exhaustion. As if a weight she'd carried for years finally broke her spine. Can you imagine? Can you imagine carrying a secret so massive, so dangerous, that even the father of your children didn't know the truth? Or did he? Let's not jump too far ahead. Because at this point, no one can say for sure whether Harry knew, or if he just found out when the rest of us did. But that one sentence from Meghan, that single, offhand remark, it set everything in motion. The press got hold of the clip within minutes. Podcasts pulled their scheduled episodes. Royal watchers went live on Instagram. YouTube exploded. And within half an hour, Buckingham Palace issued a formal no comment. That's how serious this is. Because when the palace refuses to deny, that's as good as confirmation. But let's pause for a second. Do you believe her? Do you believe this was an accidental leak? Or was it strategic? Because Meghan Markle, love her or hate her, isn't reckless. She's deliberate, calculated, a chess player in a world of checkers. So why now? Why drop this nuclear truth bomb at this moment in time? Let's take a look around. Her Spotify deal? Gone. Netflix? On life support. The public? Growing colder by the day. The monarchy? Unmoving, unwelcoming, unforgiving. And Harry? Rumored to be pulling away, attending solo events, flying back to the UK without her, skipping red carpets, going silent in interviews. The cracks are showing. The image is fracturing. So what do you do when you feel the empire slipping? You drop a truth that no one can ignore. You burn the whole thing down before they bury you in it. But here's where it gets complicated. Because in that leaked audio, there's more. Not just the paternity shock. There's emotion, confusion, pain. Meghan goes on to say, I didn't lie to hurt him. I needed them to be mine. Entirely mine. He was slipping away, and I thought this would bring us closer. Did you catch that? She thought hiding the truth would make Harry stay. And that, right there, is the tragic core of this story. This isn't just about deception. It's about fear. The fear of abandonment. The fear of being unloved. The fear that maybe, just maybe, the man you built a world with might love his country, his crown, or his past more than he loves you. So you do what you can to hold him, even if it means building a house of secrets. But the house has collapsed, and in the rubble lies the future of two children, Archie and Lilibet, who may wake up tomorrow to a world that no longer knows who they are. Or worse, doesn't want to know. Let's talk about Harry now. Because as of right now, he hasn't said a word. His phone is off. His team won't respond. His Montecito compound has been sealed tighter than a fortress. But according to neighbors, something's up. Helicopters circling. Paparazzi lining the roads. A delivery van reportedly bringing boxes to the house. Boxes, some speculate, that may have belonged to Harry. And more ominously, a private security firm's vehicle was spotted leaving the compound with 2 child car seats in the back. No one knows where the children are. No one knows where Harry is. And Meghan? She's disappeared. Vanished. No sightings in over 48 hours. No security footage from her favorite organic market. No Instagram sightings. No leaks from staffers. Nothing. Just that haunting audio. And the fallout continues to grow. British tabloids are calling for DNA tests. American outlets are debating custody law. And royal experts are scrambling to understand what this means for the line of succession. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. If Archie and Lilibet aren't Harry's biological children, then they're not royal heirs. No titles. No protections. No claims. And that changes everything. But it's not just the monarchy that's in crisis. It's the emotional wreckage. How does a man recover from hearing the world question whether he's truly a father? How does a child grow up knowing their very existence became a global controversy? And how does a woman justify hiding the truth, even if she believed she was doing it for love? We don't have those answers yet, but we're getting close. Because while Meghan may have started this fire, there are people ready to fan the flames. Whistleblowers, former friends, forgotten staffers, leaked emails, journalists who've been sitting on files waiting for the right moment. And now? Now is the moment. Because the world isn't just watching, it's demanding the truth. And the truth is clawing its way out, one horrifying detail at a time. But here's where it gets even darker. Because deep inside that audio clip, there's one more phrase Meghan whispered. And it's one that no one has dared to play on mainstream airwaves. One that was quickly scrubbed from the internet. One that hinted, this may not have been an accident. She said, it was a trade. I needed what he could give me. But I never expected it to go this far. A trade? What was traded? Was it love? Was it loyalty? Or something far more transactional? And who else knew? Because if Meghan was keeping this from Harry, or if Harry knew and helped cover it up, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a conspiracy. And what comes next will turn that quiet little family in Montecito into the epicenter of the biggest royal deception in modern history. We've only just scratched the surface. Because in the next chapter, we're going back to the beginning. Back to 2019. Back to the day Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was born. Or was he? What really happened behind those closed hospital doors? Why did no cameras capture the moment? And what disturbing photo was quietly removed from the royal archive without explanation? The answers are coming, but they won't be pretty, and they won't protect anyone. Because the truth doesn't care who wears a crown. It just wants to be seen. What if I told you that from the moment Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was born, nothing added up? That the inconsistencies weren't just minor oversights or innocent timing issues, but carefully orchestrated moves in a much bigger game? Let's go back to that day. May 6th, 2019. A day that should have been full of celebration. A new royal baby. The son of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. 7th in line to the throne. The first biracial child born into the British monarchy in modern history. But instead of a joyful, transparent royal occasion, we got fog, secrecy, confusion, contradiction, and in hindsight, red flags. Let's begin with the basics. The birth announcement. The palace released a statement at 2 p.m. that Monday, Meghan had gone into labor that morning. Just 40 minutes later, they announced she had already given birth at 5:26 a.m. Wait, what? You're telling us that by the time the palace confirmed Meghan was in labor, she had already given birth 9 hours earlier? That's not just poor timing. That's deliberate delay. So the first question is, why? Why would a royal couple with access to world-class PR botch something so significant? Was it confusion or cover-up? And where exactly was Archie born? That's another detail that slipped through the cracks.